So, I want to preface a couple parts of today's episode before you dive in. The first is I use an example of Cancer energy being mama energy, and then you'll hear me later correct myself to parent energy. And then later on in the episode, because I think about the moon in this way, um, that it's like a womb. It's a place that you can plant seeds and bring new life. But I think a garden is a much more inclusive term because I realized, like, I myself, I'm non-binary. I have infertility issues. There's so many things that, like, and I was once an evangelical Christian. So the topic of my womb has been, I don't really understand why. And as we look at the political realities of today, we know that the topic of wombs is still very important. But for the metaphor I'm making, I wanted to switch to garden because I also know as an individual who has a need for these topics to create change, they're painful places to sit in sometimes. And so I didn't want to use language that would be triggering for anyone because I don't know who this video is going to reach, and we all come to the table in our own places. And so that's why I switched to garden, but I left them in here because of another deep core value of mine. And I just want to say if I, as an open out, educating, like teaching, training, I lead trainings and teachings, if I have journeys to go on in dismantling my embodiment of the binary and the patriarchy and all of that, we all do. Like, I want to make it safe for us to go, look, like, I'm trans non binary and I still have harmful language in me I have to destruct from because part of my story, part of what kept me from coming out earlier is one, I didn't have the language for it, and two, I grew up in an environment where it was not welcome and really an environment that taught homophobia and transphobia as norm, right? Who taught white supremacy as cultural norm. And so I am committed to the journey of undoing it. And I guess I just wanted to create a safe space to, like, it's okay if you stumble over words and to, like, learn and grow and correct. And so I just want to know that was kind of my thinking behind both of those things. Like, they are beautiful analogies, but when I am reaching an audience who I don't know, like, there are better analogies. There are better analogies. Those once worked for me where I was at my journey, but there are better analogies because one of the things I'm really trying to do is create inclusive, holistic language, and because I am just tired. So I could go on a whole rant. But anyways, I wanted to preface this episode with that's why I left those in here. Because we're all growing and we're all learning, and while I am a teacher, I am a student. And that's my commitment. And while you're a student in relationship to listening to this, like, you're a teacher. You have ways that you are a teacher and things that only you know and you express because we are all so unique and wonderfully made. And I just want everyone to feel truly welcome here. So, and I'm always open if there are ways that I can be better, like, call me out. I hope that I'd be like my homegirl Lizzo and, like, cool, let me go back and, like, let's make this right because I really am committed to that in this life and that journey. So, anyways, into today's episode. This episode is all about the sun in Cancer, and that transit begins on June 21st at 4:14 a.m. Central Standard Time. So the sun in Cancer marks the start of summer, right? We know that June 21st is the summer solstice and it's celebrated around the world in a variety of ways. I myself had the privilege of celebrating it in both Spain and Argentina, one with a drum circle, like an underground club drum circle in Argentina. It was super cool. And the other, I just happened to stumble upon, I was with a couple friends in Spain doing some work, and we were on the beach and stumbled upon a summer solstice celebration. And that was so much fun, so much dancing and celebration, right? Because summer solstice is all about summer, the warmth, the goodness, right? It's the opposite of winter. It's the time of play and delight and joy. And so Cancer is our first season, our first transit, our first zodiac of the summer. So Cancer is known as the empath of the zodiac, and it's associated with our feelings, both emotional and intuitive. Cancers are the type of people that walk into a room and, like, know emotionally what is going on with everyone there. Cancers are incredibly emotional in depth and live in emotions. They're ruled by the moon, right? As we talked about in the last episode, the moon is all about our emotions and undercurrents and subconscious and the things we're feeling and really our intuition. The moon asks us to trust ourselves in the places where there might not be a lot of light, right? In the shadows, in the dark. The moon is the light for us in the darkness. And it's our emotions and how we navigate the things we maybe can't express in the light, the things we don't know how to have words for or how to communicate. The moon really embodies. And so cancers are really the embodiment of that energy. Cancer energy is really, it's so nurturing and so sensitive and so in tune and wants to care. It's really the mother of the zodiac, right? It's this energy that wants to just like snuggle and love and bring affection and take care of. On the flip side, now I'm a Cancer moon, so I can own all of this if you know me. Cancers can be a little moody and broody. Like they have those pinchers, right? They're the crabs, so like they will pinch you and they are aggressive with those pinchers. Cancer energy in the shadows is very prone to like bitterness and resentment. They give so much of themselves that they can feel used, and yet sometimes if we're not healthy in that energy, it's because we're giving too much of ourselves, right? We're allowing those situations to come into our life. But at the end of the day, Cancer is water, right? It's the cardinal water. And so it's all about our emotions and our artistic undercurrents and our sensitivities and our ability to navigate great depths and read through the unspoken, unseen, and unexpressed situations that come up in our life. Cancer rules the fourth house, so its energy is really about the home and like our roots and our family and how we create home and find home and peace in those places. Yeah, cancers can be very reclusive in nature. Cancer energy can make us feel withdrawn, especially when we're in pain and hurt, right? We're those crabs. We send into our shell. We have a very hard exterior. I say we because again, I'm a Cancer moon. I am not a Cancer sun. I am a Sagittarius sun, but Cancer moon. And emotionally, we can be incredibly guarded and hard, but the truth is we're deep, 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 deep softies that just want everyone around us to smile and be happy and feel good and like we are mamas and want to nurture and grow individuals. So yeah, that's a little bit about Cancer. So the sun transiting through Cancer is all about bringing light to our growth and our nurturing. And really, like with shadow work and the work I do, how I heal with the astrology transits, this is really about bringing to light how you parent yourself, how you parent. If you are a parent of littles, it could be bringing to light how you parent and to be reflecting on how are you nurturing, how are you growing. I did say mama in the last energy, and the reason I use mama is one, I believe anyone can embody mama energy, no matter what your sex is or what your gender is. You can have that mama energy. But I also say parent because I know that's much more gender inclusive. But when I say this parenting energy, it's really the softer side of the energy, the snuggly, the baking, the ooey gooey, and all of those things, right, have no gender on them. So I just wanted to correct myself as a non-binary human and just say like parent energy, but the gentler, the more sensitive, not the stoic parent, the like the really gentle, ooey gooey, affectionate, like lovey-dovey, nurturing parent energy. And where do you need to be nurturing yourself? Where do you need to be comforting yourself more and growing yourself more? Where do you need more safety and security and like sense of home? And how do you find home? And where do you find home? And that's really what the sun transiting through Cancer, that energy it's bringing. It's really shining light and bringing warmth to our nurturing and our parenting. And it's bringing to light those things as well. So one of the things I look at as an astrologer, there's a lot of debate in astrology around degree references and degree uses. And I have my own mixed opinions that I'll talk about at another time. But I like to look at them when it comes to like the sun's transit. Each transit of the sun, there's usually 2 days where the sun is at 1 degree. It stays in 1 degree for about 2 days, whereas every other, it's just a degree a day. And when those occur, I like to look at what that energy is because I believe it's like a magnifying glass on the specific things this sun transit is bringing into light. And so for this Cancer transit coming up, the sun is going to be at 16 degrees on the 8th and 9th. So 16 degrees in Cancer is really about leadership and pioneering skills. It brings an extra blessing and abundance to careers in science, arts, religious, and spiritual pursuits. And then it's also going to bring with it a highlighting of our struggles with boundaries. Where does your excessive generosity allow others to take advantage of you or misuse and abuse you? So, with that 16 degrees, those are the specific focuses of this Cancer energy this month in the sun transit. So, it's really calling us to really think about and nurture and invest in and grow our leadership and our pioneering skills. Like, where can we be taking action and initiative in our lives to create the changes we want to see? Whether it's getting an advance at a job, right? Or getting a promotion at a job, whether it's having healthier relationships or diversifying your networks. Like, where can you be nurturing these skills? Maybe you need to dive into shadow work. Maybe it's becoming an ally, right? And addressing the ways that, like I say, this is a white person, the ways that I embody a white culture worldview and where that's harmful and how I change. Like, this is the energy to really be honing in on those skills that could maybe be holding you back that you can really move forward in. So it's all about our leadership and pioneering skills. It's all about our pursuits in science, arts, and religion or spiritual pursuits. And then it's all about our boundaries. It's really about, yes, nurture the world around you, but also make sure you're taking care of yourself. Yes, invest love in others and help others grow and nourish them, but make sure you're nourishing yourself. Make sure that you are parenting yourself, that you're giving yourself the love and support that you so generously give others. And make sure that you have boundaries, like really good boundaries, so that your generosity isn't abused. Cancers are prone, we are prone to codependency. That energy is very prone to codependency or can be codependent in nature. And so this transit energy highlighting the 16th degree is really saying, hey, where do you need to set better boundaries to better care for yourself? So that's kind of what the energy is bringing in. Now, to understand how this is going to play out in your chart more, it's really important to know what other planets are doing in transits, what's going on in your chart, where Cancer falls, what the energy is. And there are things that will happen in this transit that are just corporate energies. What I mean is it's transit sun doing some sort of aspect to another transit planet. Those are like the corporate energies that are playing out. But then those same energies interact with your charts. If you want to learn more about how the transit sun will be engaging your chart, I will be releasing YouTube videos later tonight that talk about the transit sun and the new moon and their transitions through each of the astrological houses. So you can pull up your birth chart, find out what house Cancer rules over, where this transit is happening, and see what else is going on and get a peek just a little bit deeper at what's happening there. And like I said, those will be released on Monday, June 20th, sometime in the evening. If you're a patron, I will be releasing my monthly transit report. That's what I'll do every new sun. I will release a monthly transit report so you can just know kind of the corporate energy of what's coming and what this transit's doing, what else is happening in the sky. Go a little deeper that way. And if you really want to go deep, book a session with me. I love doing transit report readings with people. I love, if you do a session with me, I actually give you a printout PDF of the transit energy coming and like different activities and guidance and things you can do in that time. So if you're interested in any of that, please book it and check it out. But so to finish this episode off today, I do want to talk about that new moon in Cancer because that's the other thing that a transit sun, right? A sun entering a new sign brings a new moon in that same sign, right? Because the new moon is when it is void and dark. There is not light being reflected there, right? It is the start. It is the new beginnings, the place we plant the seeds. I like to think of the new moon as like the womb, right? It's the dark, barren place that's ready to receive new life. And again, I'm sorry if that language is triggering for anyone. Like I have infertility issues, and so I know at different various points in the journey, it's hard to always hear things about the womb and barren and how it's just made for this new life. It's not. The womb is not made for that, but I think it's a great metaphor for what can be there as well. Like I say that as like, or maybe a better example yet is to think about the moon as a garden, that fresh dirt, like you have just tilled the land And now, what are you going to plant in there to cause new life to grow? What are you going to sow? What are you going to invest? What do you want to nurture? What are the new hopes, the new beginnings, the new longness, right? The place that you're like in the dark and ready to set new intentions forward. So, the new moon in Cancer is happening at 7 degrees, which brings one of two themes. It can bring both of them into light as well. But it's an invitation to commit to trusting your own instinct and honoring your own intuition in all that you do. Honor yourself in all things. Love yourself in all things. Nurture yourself in all things. Make sure you're living by the standard of care and nurture that you know to be best for you. Like, make sure you're advocating for you and taking care of you and supporting you and nurturing yourself. And that you're creating the reality for everyone in the world, the reality you want to see for everyone, that you're creating that for yourself. Make sure that you are creating the reality of care and nurture and comfort and emotional support that you need and long for. And the second theme that comes up is it's addressing our emotional home and root issues within ourselves and our families and or the people we live with. So it's really a chance to engage. So remember that transit sun is at 16 degrees. So it's really about boundaries. And the new moon is coming in saying, yes, it's time to explore our boundaries, both with how we trust ourselves and engage ourselves and support ourselves, and also how we have boundaries with the world around us, especially those closest to us in our home. So the new moon is all about that. So this is a great time to take some time and write down your intentions. Where do you need to set healthier boundaries? Where do you need to grow? Where do you need to plant seeds so that you can have the emotional reality around yourself that you crave, where your waters can be still and clean and beautiful and peaceful and everything that just makes you feel so, 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 so good emotionally? How do you build that for yourself? How do you find that? Where do you need to remember that, like, hey, you're tender. Yes, you're tough, but you're tender, and you need to have a harder exterior there. You need to have some better boundaries there. And where is there conflict in your life that you can address? Maybe it's your own issues, right? Like, Cancer energy can, like I said, be very bitter. And so maybe we have to remove some of the barriers in ourselves. But this is really a time to be planting the seeds for what we want, both in our home and in our own life around our emotional reality. So this new moon, spend some time writing out what your intentions are. I'm going to be releasing a little activity. I'm going to record it, but it's a new moon activity you can do to plant the seeds that you're trying to plant in this season, because that's what the new moon is all about. And this one's really inviting us to take our power back through setting boundaries and through trusting our intuition, right? Trust ourselves. How can we build our trust to guide, like build our trust to guide ourselves to the darkest of nights that we will face? How do we develop that? How do we deepen that? How do we protect and care for ourselves emotionally? All what the new moon is welcoming us to explore. And that wraps up another episode of DNA Star Guidance, the podcast. If you're looking for more information or you want to book a session, visit my website, DylanNoel.com. You can also follow me on YouTube, TikTok, and I have a Patreon page all under Dylan Noel Astrology or Dylan Noel. Until next time, happy healing.